Hello, everybody. Good evening. How's everybody doing? Great? You look great. All right. This is the one event that I look forward to the most. I mean, if there's anything we do right, this is it, CREST. This is when we honor people, some unsung and some sung. Tonight, they'll all be sung, right? So welcome to the CREST Awards. I want to go through a little bit of the logistics with you before I turn it over to our mayor. First of all, the names of all the recipients each year are engraved on a perpetual plaque. That's right there. And that's the second one. There's another one hanging out in the lobby of the Quinlan Center, and they'll be there forever. Secondly, each recipient receives a personally engraved City of Cupertino 2000 CREST Award, suitable for mounting on the desktop or on the bookshelf. Also, we have nice certificates from Senator Byron Scher, Assemblyman Jim Canine, and our federal representative Anna Eshu. For the recipients tonight, there's only one thing you need to look for, and that's that little red X right there on the floor. For television purposes, we need you to stand there. We're taping this tonight. We'll be rebroadcast. In fact, this will be televised on May 24th at 8 p.m., May 30th at 5:30, and other times throughout the year. Now, this is normally the spot where I turn it over to the mayor, but this year I'm going to take a little extra time. This is my last time doing CREST, and I want to acknowledge some people behind the scenes that do pretty much all the work on this. So I want them to wave their arms real big. They refuse to come up front because they say there's some technical reason for this. Way in the back is Pete Coglianese. Right over here on camera, whatever number, 1, is Ray Delgado. A brand new dad, first time. So way to go, Ray. And our newest member of our City Channel crew, Lisa Valentino, right back there. All right. And then the lady that puts this all together, makes it come out smooth, arranges for everything, Donna Cray. Where are you, Donna? Stand up. And all the things that need to be done to help Donna make this work right is my secretary and the council secretary, Linda Lagergren. And it's now my extreme pleasure to introduce to you John Statton, our mayor. John.
Well, good evening. As Don pointed out, this is one of the more special evenings that we do as a community, and in part because what it really means to be a community is recognizing the people that really make this place a very special town to live in. And tonight we get an opportunity to do that for some very incredible people that have put in long hours, a lot of their time, a lot of their energy, to make this a town that we all really want to live in and that we really feel is a true community of people in a place that oftentimes is characterized as being a little placeless, being a little fast-paced. These are people that really help slow things down and help us connect very much with each other. And so without much further ado, I'd like to just make a couple of brief introductions here as well. I'd like to introduce the members of the City Council that will be presenting tonight. First, Vice Mayor Sandy James. Councilmember Richard Lowenthal. And Dr. Michael Chang. I'll note that we have one absent member tonight, and that is Councilmember Don Burnett, who had a previous engagement that he tried breaking and couldn't get out of, so we're going to fill this with 4 tonight, and we're looking forward to doing that. And now I'd like to introduce 2 people that are going to be very special, and I'd like to have you please come up. Again, our red spot is here. You'll be blinded appropriately by the light. But if Chaoming and Wanyu Chang could please join me at the podium. Oh, after video. And we're going to have a video right now also doing a little bit of honoring here of the two of you. So.
Chaoming and Wanyu Chang are a team in every sense of the word. Married for more than 50 years, they've spent the last 14 of those years volunteering together at the Cupertino Senior Center. As a couple, they share just about everything.
Working together, yes. First, that is my eyesight is not that good, and she has a hearing problem. So
we have become only one person.
with 1 + 1 = 1 in this case.
With humor, grace, and dedication, the Changs give freely to one another and to their friends at the Senior Center. They help organize every monthly birthday party at the center because they realize these are important events for many members.
Not all seniors are as lucky as we were, as we are. And some of these, they may live alone without children together, and give some recognition. Here is your birthday, and give her he or her some recognition, and then people improve their happiness. Yeah, that's the major objective.
Wanyu was the first part of the team to volunteer her help at the birthday celebrations. She found herself with some free time after taking care of the first of the couple's 10 grandchildren.
I feel I need to step out because my husband's retired that time. We need to step out to meet the people.
All it took at that first meeting was someone to ask if anyone could help at the monthly birthday parties.
I've raised my hands, I do. Since then, I worked there. It's 14 years ago. Yeah.
Wanyu's first act as a newly recruited Senior Center volunteer was to enlist the aid of her trusty teammate.
After she volunteered for the center, then she dragged me into the take pictures. Needed someone take pictures during those birthday parties, special events, and some recording this. And I said, okay.
Now, as his wife presides over the decorations and refreshment table each month, Chaoming keeps busy taking his snapshots, brewing coffee, and after it's all over, supervising the cleanup. Soon after they began helping with the birthday parties, the Changs became involved in the center's Volunteer Advisory Council and were part of the leadership group that worked to move the Senior Center membership to its temporary quarters in the community center. They participated in the farewell party for the old Senior Center and later enthusiastically took part in the groundbreaking ceremony for the new facility now under construction. Of all their volunteer activities, though, the Changs are especially proud of their involvement in the center's Changing Demographics Committee. The committee organizes multicultural events and reaches out to non-English speaking members. Chaoming arranges Chinese translations of certain materials and provides explanations of Asian cultural items for various programs and activities.
Because many Chinese live in Cupertino, this area, they cannot really understand English that much. And they come here, live with their children, and read the Chinese newspaper, and look at the Chinese television, and everything is only Chinese. And with a translation in the Chinese posters, they can have the feeling of intimacy. Oh, yes, there's something is here. And they feel at home. Yeah, that's the most important. Otherwise, they have the feeling they're in a strange land and afraid to participate even.
In the meantime, Wanyu worked tirelessly on the committee's international fashion show, doing everything from designing and sewing costumes to talking family members into taking a turn on the ramp.
We enlisted our daughter and the 2 granddaughters, 3 models
I even talked
as
some
a
others
reserve.
too. They
And we
back it up.
utilize the reserve. And this time, if we do it again, probably we have to think, where's the reserve? You have to have someone in the pocket.
Chaoming and Wanyu Chang always have a little something extra in their pockets for those who need it. Their friends at the Senior Center say they can always be counted on to say yes when there's a job to be done. For the Changs, though, volunteering is a two-way street.
I feel very happy. I meet a lot of friends. You can talk to them. I love that to come out to help a little bit.
My idea is better to give rather than to receive. That's my philosophy. And my feeling is that society depends upon people, does not depend upon wealth. That so far people are happy, live together, the society is good society, right?
There is perhaps nothing more important that we're doing as a community right now than knitting together our newcomers and our old-timers. And from what you've just observed in the video, both of the Changs tonight have been people that have been truly linchpins or link pins in bringing different cultures together and bringing us all closer together as a community. And for that, I just can't say thank you enough on behalf of this town. You've both been phenomenal in terms of the Senior Center and just, again, reaching out to the community as a whole, and we deeply appreciate that very much. I just want to share a couple of other things. As we noted, 10 grandchildren. You've lived in the U.S. for 41 years, and some of your family is here. Yeah. Could you please stand and take a bow also? I understand that one of your favorite hobbies is growing aloe vera plants. Obviously, dancing is good for the two of you, as we saw from the video. And apparently, you also love to travel. And I understand that on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, Y2K didn't bother you. As an IBM engineer, you were in the airplane heading to Florida. So we're grateful that all worked out very well for a number of reasons. On behalf of the Cupertino City Council, City Government, and the town of Cupertino as a whole, I'd like to present you with the CREST Award for this year, and thank you both very, very much from the bottom of my heart. Now it gives me a great deal of pleasure to introduce our next presenter in the evening, Dr. Michael Chang. Michael.
Thank you very much, John. I have the pleasure of introducing our next recipient. This person is a man of great energy, Fernando Chen, Mr. Fernando Chen.
If the definition of an innovator is someone who introduces new things to people, then Fernando Chen fits that description to a T. Last year, one of the new things he presented to the Cupertino community was the first annual Moon Festival.
Through several good friends, we think the Cupertino is a very diversified community. Since a lot of the Chinese in this community, and we need something not only for Chinese only, but hopefully through this event, like Moon Festival, we can let others know the Chinese value. The value for the Moon Festival actually is for the family.
Fernando spent countless volunteer hours organizing the new festival, which drew thousands of visitors during 2 days in September. A Chinese tradition for 3,000 years, the Moon Festival is recognized by other cultures as well. And Fernando hopes the annual event eventually will bring all Cupertino residents together in celebration.
So we promote this idea, and also hopefully, I believe all the community, the residents of Cupertino will enjoy.
Besides the Moon Festival, another new project that Fernando has introduced to the city is the Cupertino Hsinchu Friendship City program, which links two high-tech communities from across the globe. He led a 42-member delegation from Cupertino to Hsinchu in Taiwan last year, and the rest is history.
We make very successful and international relationship with the city, Hsinchu City. And I think most participants feel this is worthwhile trips, make Cupertino well known in Taiwan also, because they know Cupertino is one of the high-tech center in the Silicon Valley and also United States.
Fernando is accustomed to forging international partnerships, often using sports activities to open doors around the world. He helped found the Chinese American Athletic Foundation and has served as chairman of its annual athletic tournament for the past 3 years.
In August, we have about 10,000 participants in this 2-day event. And we have all kind of competition, volleyball, track, swimming. You know, we work on all kind of nationality. Through this friendly competition, we make friends and we make this community even closer.
And here's another first for Fernando and Cupertino, a badminton competition.
I start from scratch. I found a lot of things. Currently, I have a badminton competition. It's the first in the local area. This badminton is open California enrollment. So I line up with the volunteer works and trying to find sponsors.
A volleyball and softball player himself, Fernando traces the origins of his volunteer work to the sports fields of Little League, where he began coaching his son's team 14 years ago. From there, he became involved in Boy Scouts activities and other community projects. Whether he's hosting a dinner to benefit the American Cancer Society or raising funds for earthquake relief in Taiwan, Fernando finds the time to help and still manages a full-time job at a company in San Mateo.
My boss definitely encouraged us to do some volunteer work for the community. And time management is very essential. I think I always planning ahead, and when we have a big project, we have several volunteers to sit down to lay out the plans. And so we make things a little bit simpler so I can juggle in others' projects at the same time.
Fernando believes each person in a volunteer group brings his or her own special abilities and talent, and each is an integral part of the success of any project. He, of course, is the idea man, the innovator, and the planner.
I can make things all together. I found the best people to work for us, as a group, as a volunteer, as a group, so we can make things much smoother and much better. And a lot of people, like I said, is an unsung hero because they are in the background and never say words. When you sign the job, they do the job and do it fast. Like I always said, each one is like gears in a watch. So we make the movement and we make everything, the time, the purpose of the watch is to tell the accurate times. So I think each people is a very important part of the watch. So that's my philosophy.
Fernando is really a bridge builder in this community, whether it be the Moon Festival organization or forming a friendship sister city in Taiwan with Hsinchu City. He seeks to bring people together, and for that I really want to honor him tonight. He also has many talents and a lot of energy, as you could see. One thing, I don't know how many of you have ever seen him, but he does a pretty mean impersonation of Elvis Presley even. Thank you so much, Fernando. Fernando Chen. The next person I would like to bring up is a very special person. She's a very special member of the Quota Club in Cupertino, Ms. Debbie Dougherty. I should say Mrs. We're going to watch her on tape.
What service organization wouldn't love to find a way to bottle up and use the energy and enthusiasm of youth for worthwhile causes? Quota International of Cupertino actually did better than that. 10 years ago, the club inducted 19-year-old Debbie Dougherty, the youngest member in Quota's area-wide district.
It was fun. It was very fun to get involved at the age that I did, and I've had some real good friendships over the years that I've been doing it, and I've enjoyed a lot of it.
Debbie's first introduction to Quota came through her job at a local insurance agency where boss Donna Lawler was a dedicated member of the club.
I was going to De Anza College and I was working here, and that's when I started getting more involved in the community here through the Chamber of Commerce and Rotary and Quota, different events. And so I just went along with them and saw what they were doing, and I was very interested, and at that time I had a lot more free time, so I was able to participate in a lot of different fundraising events, and it was just really fun.
For a decade, Debbie has maintained her lively interest in Quota projects and services, volunteering for numerous board positions and on many committees to help fulfill the mission of the club.
Our main focus is hearing impaired groups, and there's just such a great opportunity to help people whether purchasing equipment for their schools or anything really, and it's just something that I wasn't really aware of. I didn't really know that much about, but I think starting at the young age really just opened that whole, and it's just been a part of my life now because it was just something when I started working, I got involved, and it's something that I've just been doing over time.
She describes herself as a worker bee, quite an understatement for someone who chaired major club fundraisers such as the art auction and for 2 years the Dickens Fair. One of her favorite activities, though, is the club's annual Christmas shopping expedition for needy children.
We sing Christmas carols, they can work art projects, and then we take them back to school after lunch, and it's just a real fun, rewarding day just to see their faces and the little twinkle in their eyes and how happy they are, and they go running back with their shopping bag to school, and it's very special.
Debbie says one of the most rewarding things about being involved in the Quota Club is participating in a fundraising event and then actually seeing how the proceeds are going to be used afterward. She specifically recalls one of the club's art auctions.
The whole thing from the beginning of the fundraiser to actually giving out the grants was really nice to see the whole event come to a close and then able to give out the money afterwards. So just felt good since I was one of the main persons who was in charge of it. It was very successful, and I was happy.
Now the mother of a 3-year-old, Debbie is constantly balancing the demands of work, family, and volunteer efforts. But whether it's attending her son's t-ball game or co-chairing Quota's Salute to Staff luncheon, she manages to do it all.
Just something that I feel very strongly about, and I just squeeze it into the day.
Anyone would think that Debbie's days had more than 24 hours in them. She finds the time to garden, to serve as an unofficial family historian, and to volunteer for fundraisers benefiting other community organizations such as CCS and the Northwest YMCA.
Well, it's just, as I said, become a part of my life now since I was exposed to it a long time ago, and I just feel that it's important to have something outside of your normal daily routine as far as work and family, because there are so many organizations out there that need volunteers, and I just think that it's very important to get out there and get involved.
There you have it, a master fundraiser here. Wow, this is the kind of person we all like, huh? Is your family here tonight?
Yes.
Would you like to introduce them? Maybe stand up, please.
My husband, Steve,
Your
and my
husband,
son,
Steve,
Tom.
and son, Tom. Come on up. Well, on behalf of Cupertino, I want to thank you for all your hard work. I wonder how it's like. She was for a long time the youngest member of Quota Club. She started at 19 years old. How did it feel when you started up at Quota Club?
It was a little scary at first,
A little scary.
but it was fun. Everyone was very
fun.
welcoming.
So everybody hear that. It's very fun. So join up. Anyway, thank you so much for all you have done for our
Thank
community.
you.
Thank you. For those of you who don't know, she's taking a little break. Debbie has been landscaping her own home for the last 2 years and with great success. So if you are interested in that, you can talk to her too. Thank you.
I've got a real honor here tonight to be able to present an award to a really spectacular volunteer in the community. We have so many great volunteers here in Cupertino. We're really we're known for that and how our community pulls together to make it a great city. I want to introduce somebody that's really been key to our library and to the success of the library over the years and our recent campaign for Measure A. She's somebody I know. I've been getting a bit involved in the library myself and really respect. I want to introduce to you Jean Gallup.
Jean Gallup is definitely a book lover, and her passion for the printed word translates to an overwhelming number of volunteer hours for the Cupertino Library. 20 years ago, she went to one of the library's book sales, and shortly thereafter joined the Friends of the Cupertino Library, the group that sponsors the library book sales.
We sell you an empty grocery bag for $3. You get to fill it up from what's in the room. And a big kick was seeing teenagers going through and picking up a book and saying, "What the heck?" and just going for filling that bag. And I just think that's so important because I think if you're a book lover and a reader, you got a lock on life. To me, being allowed into a book sale where the highest priced book is $1 is like being let loose in a candy store.
The library has a sweet deal with Jean Gallup. She works tirelessly on programs and activities for the facility, everything from committee meetings and political campaigns to wrapping gift books and helping with summer reading clubs for kids. When the Friends of the Library wanted to reorganize into a more structured group, Jean gathered a committee and stepped forward to take on the challenge.
When we decided to put together a committee to look at bylaws from all the other Friends groups, we went out and interviewed the other Friends groups. What do you do? What works? What doesn't? That was fun. Came back, put together bylaws, passed those, elected a board.
Under Jean's term as president, the Friends became an incorporated entity with a tax exemption status, a group with a new logo and newsletter, to better communicate with its growing membership. But Jean says one of the most significant changes over the past several years has been financial in nature.
I think over the years, the biggest difference has been we're simply making a lot more money for the library and then therefore can provide a lot more service. We used to take in $3,500 a book sale, and it's now rare not for us not to make $10,000.
Jean doesn't shy away from taking on tasks she's never done before, especially where the library is concerned. This became very apparent during the Measure A campaign when voters were asked to approve a new library in Cupertino.
Because I was head of the Friends, I ended up on the campaign committee for that. And it was amazing me to watch and to try and figure out again where I would fit in. And I do not have the network of community contacts that the other very hardworking people on the committee did. I could be a worker bee, so I did calling of the high schools to see if we could get kids to precinct walk. I called everybody I knew to see if they could do precinct walking, phone calling, or if they lived on a prominent corner, would they take a sign on their property.
Jean has been involved in the new library project since it was first proposed 2 years ago. She sat on needs assessment committees, worked on the campaign, and has recently been appointed by the City Council as a member of a new committee charged with selecting an architect for the building. All this fits in nicely with her personal views on volunteering.
I think as a part of the community, you need to to give back to the community. I think it connects you to the community, particularly as we get sort of more and more impersonal in our dealings. You used to know the grocer, now you don't as much. Certainly I don't know the clerks at Target to say hello to, that kind of thing.
Over the past 20 years, Jean's commitment to the library increased as her home and job responsibilities decreased. Now with her 2 children grown, she says there's more time for traveling, reading, and teaching other volunteers the ropes.
I have a lot of good friends in the Friends now, particularly as we've worked on the board and worked on things, and I get a kick out of watching as someone new comes into the Friends, and if they're at all willing and capable, we immediately suck them into the network of the heavy-duty workers. So I do get a kick out of that.
Her advice to people who want to volunteer and aren't sure how to go about it?
I think to try and find something that they're suited for in volunteerism, that they'd be a lot happier than if they take on something that they're not interested in. And largely to remember in the volunteer world that you are so welcome and everyone is so anxious to have help that do not think, oh, there's nothing I can do that would be of value. Just volunteer. Someone will find something for you to do.
Cupertino is a special place, and you know, we've been going through a process of looking for a new city manager, and when you talk to the prospects, and we're a very popular city, what they always note is how our community pulls together, and what a special community it is, as much as a great city. You know, our library is the busiest one in the county. Our library county system is an award-winning county library system. We do it with limited funds. Not long ago, we lost our state funding for libraries. When the state was short on money, that money was diverted to schools to keep the schools ticking along. And although there's a $13 billion surplus now at the state, they're not giving us that money back. So we've been operating really on about half of the money that we plan to operate on. It's volunteerism that makes the difference. And that's why we have an award-winning library, and that's why we can check out 1.5 million books and pieces of media in a year, and do it with the help of our very own community and our neighbors. You know, Jean is she's more than just a volunteer, because Jean she's an organization builder. You know, she took the Friends. The Friends has been around actually for a long time. It was run by the Woodruffs, but it was a very casual kind of organization. She turned it into a serious organization with bylaws. She's done an incredible amount of drawing other volunteers into the library system, and that was her role in Measure A. So she sounds like she's just doing these things on her own. The real power of Jean Gallup is that she's a builder of organizations, and she pulls together the people that can do the work. So she's a highly leveraged player here in Cupertino. So it's with great honor that I present this award to you tonight.
I just wanted to say most of the Friends aren't here because they're setting up for our next book sale, which is this weekend, so you can all come and see what that was all about. Thank you very much.
Jean, before you go, I want to first. Do you have friends and family here with you? Well, you have lots of friends, but let's see your husband here. Will he stand?
Yes, the tall one.
I wanted to mention a story about Jean. Jean once worked in our library as a library page. The page is the low man on the totem pole in the library system. You know, I work now. One of the tasks that I have as a council member is to be part of the Joint Powers Authority for the library, And the one person that the union doesn't care about is the page. The union does not fight for the page. The page is the person that gets to haul all the books that you've returned back to the shelves and put them in the right place. The way the system worked when Jean was an employee of the library is that the librarians would ring a little bell and a page would have to come running, which sounds a bit demeaning, but that's what Jean did. And she says that for 2 years after leaving the library, every time she heard a bell, she got out of her chair. So, thanks again, Jean. Our next award winner, many of you may not know because he's one of the guys that works behind the scenes, but he's extremely important to our city, and I'm proud to introduce Jim Oberhofer. Jim?
Good morning, this is K6TN Mobile.
When it comes to being prepared, Jim Oberhofer is on just the right wavelength. He's a dedicated member of Cupertino Amateur Radio Emergency Services, better known as CARES. And for the past 2 years, he's been a leader in honing the group's emergency preparedness skills. Whether it's organizing practice drills in the field or leading monthly meetings at City Hall, Jim helps keep his fellow CARES volunteers ready for just about anything.
When a disaster does happen, we are there to respond, and we're bringing our own equipment, we're bringing our skills that we practice during preparedness, and we're bringing what I think is a level of professionalism to an emergency response and offering that up to the city.
Jim has had a fascination with ham radio since he was in grammar school, and his volunteerism has gone on for nearly as long. Putting the two interests together was a natural fit.
This seems like a real wonderful marriage of several interests of mine. First, the community service, and then a technical hobby that I think provides a real benefit when it can be applied to community service.
Last year, in addition to coordinating 2 field drills, Jim wrote the first standard operating procedures for CARES, a 4-part document outlining what is expected of members during a local disaster. He also conducted a phone tree activation drill, and he spearheaded development of the CARES website. While disaster preparedness is a large part of the CARES organization, there's also a less serious side to the work the group does.
We like to make sure that we're visible in the community, so there's a couple of community events that we participate in. One of them is the Cupertino Art and Wine Festival, which is always a lot of fun because it gives us a chance to present our story, interact with the citizens of Cupertino, and basically explain what we're doing.
The CARES group will often use various events in the city as practice fields for sharpening their communication skills.
Other community service events that we participated in the past has been the Fire Watch during the 4th of July festivals over at De Anza. And most recently, we participated in supporting the Parks and Recreation with the Ghost Walk activity. So those are nice places where we can actually get in the field and actually practice communicating and passing messages back and forth. So it's a nice, very easy way of keeping our skills up.
1999 was a year when many agencies and organizations worked feverishly to prepare for the Y2K bug. Not to be caught off guard, Jim spent numerous hours preparing a Y2K CARES plan, in which every ham radio operator knew what he or she could do to support the city's efforts. He worked with outside agencies to be certain that they understood how CARES could be of assistance in the event of a major end-of-year incident.
Essentially over the course of 4 days from December 31st through about January 4th, CARES would continue to monitor the state of the city and the country, just making sure that if there was a problem, we were there to respond. So I think overall the system did work. I thought the team did very well. They responded. They were interested and excited, and because of that, we logged about 250 hours of volunteer time over that 4-day period as CARES members were on standby in preparation for a Y2K response.
Often the enthusiasm and involvement of any volunteer group is difficult to sustain, but Jim's personal belief in the importance of CARES provides a strong example for the 70-member organization.
I think as a volunteer with CARES, there's a sense that you're working with a bigger team, and a team that is very interested in doing something very worthwhile for the city and for the community. I think the feeling, the sense of contribution and the sense of involvement with your neighbors as well as with the city, I think feels very good to me.
In spite of his demanding career and the many hours he devotes to CARES, Jim also finds time to volunteer for the Community Association for Rehabilitation and for United Way.
I think part of the volunteer activities that I have helps define who I am and gives me a sense of purpose outside of work. Without having that outlet, I think I wouldn't feel like my value, I would really question my value to the community and to society in general.
You know, Jim is a true leader. Jim has an organization of 70 people who you don't see much. They're behind the scenes, but he keeps them fired up and he keeps them ready. And, you know, with all those things you just heard about on the tape, you may, at least I find it baffling that he also works full-time for Agilent, the HP spinoff. He travels a lot for work and still manages to run a 70-person organization for Cupertino. In the about this time last year, most of us had some kind of fear about the Y2K bug. Everybody was talking about the Y2K bug. The government was terrified of the Y2K bug. I was worried about the Y2K bug. It takes an organization behind the scenes to make it so those things don't become a reality, and they don't terrorize cities, and they don't terrorize people. What Jim does is he's behind the scenes making sure those kind of things don't affect us. And I felt, I think, a little letdown on New Year's Eve that there wasn't something happening, but that was because we were ready. And that's because a lot of software engineers wrote a lot of code, and that's because a lot of people checked their systems, a lot of people ran tests, fortunately, it's fortunate that we didn't need a lot of the disaster preparedness that we had. But if you don't prepare, you do need it, I assure you. And it's through people like Jim that make it so we avoid disasters. It's being prepared for them that makes them so that they are not disasters. And we owe you a lot, Jim, for giving us that comfort. I did want to mention one other thing about Jim. You know, he does more behind the scenes. He's in his house. He has a seismic station, so he's sitting there watching those wiggly lines while we're not thinking about it. And he's going to be ready. You know, and I'm not sure I wanted to know this, but he tells me that there is a lot of seismic activity here. So, but I'm sure Jim will take care of us. So Jim, it's with great pleasure I give you this award. Jim, do you have members of your family here? Or?
Yes, I have my wife here.
Her name?
Janice.
Janice? Thanks for giving Jim to our community. Thanks very much. It's with pleasure I introduce now our Vice Mayor to make 2 more awards tonight. Sandy James.
I'm very privileged to present the next award to one of our many active service organizations in this city. We are privileged to have many people that work individually and those that join organizations and also put energies into leveraging that multiple energies and talents. And one that we are going to honor tonight is the Rotary Club of Cupertino. So I'm going to ask their current president, David Stearns, to please join me.
It's the volunteerism really that makes Rotary work. It makes any service club work, actually. And the nice thing about Cupertino Rotary is it's 115 members of a variety of ages. I say they're mostly kind of gray-haired people, but they're really active people and really willing to kick in for things, to work hard at a thing like the crab feed. You know, I've certainly worked harder at events like Oktoberfest than I certainly usually do on a home project. It's just a lot more fun and rewarding experience to pitch in and do a community event than it is to paint your porch.
Be that as it may, the Rotary Club of Cupertino has been involved in one giant home improvement project for the past 45 years. Home in their case is the Cupertino community, where club members have been building a strong foundation since 1955, the year Cupertino officially became a city. Whether it's a paintbrush or a pot of money, the Rotary Club lends willing hands and gives what's needed. The group's annual Oktoberfest is only one example of how far into the community this organization really reaches.
The money from that we make goes to support a variety of organizations. There's a lot of organizations who attend Oktoberfest and work at, say, Kinderplatz, and they're mini fundraisers in themselves. For example, all the PTAs for the elementary schools have a table there, and they do some sort of game and some sort of thing, and they get to keep the money from that. We don't take any of it. We provide the crowd, and they get to run a little fundraiser.
The Rotary's Oktoberfest is a popular local event, not only for the money it raises to benefit local charities, but also because it's fun to go to.
The thing we really like about Oktoberfest is it's not as big a fundraiser in terms of dollars raised as the golf tournament, but it's really a lot more fun weekend for the whole city. I mean, not that many people can play golf. If you give a golf tournament, you can only handle 200 people maybe to do various golfing events, but you throw an Oktoberfest and you can get 60,000 people to come to your party. So Oktoberfest is more like a party we throw for the city.
Each year, Rotary puts on its major fundraiser, the $1 Million Hole-in-One Golf Tournament. Most of the proceeds from this event are directed to a single project in the community. Last year, Eden School received $35,000 for library books and furnishings.
The last few years we've done a focused charity. And for example, this year it's the new Cupertino Senior Center being built. We're going to try to furnish a room and supply some money for various other things at the new Senior Center.
Rotary Club members participate in other fundraisers as well. Last year they organized not one, but 2 crab feeds. The first to support ongoing youth service projects, and the second just because it was needed at the time.
That was done at De Anza College, and that's a benefit for the NASC, National Association of Student Councils, which are having a national convention at Monte Vista High School this year and at De Anza College. And it was our way of helping out that event. And we were already doing 1 crab feed. Someone suggested that, gee, could we help out NASC with some money? And we said, well, we're a little strapped for organizational cash right now. We've committed everything for the year, but how about we throw another crab feed? So that one was spontaneous.
An international club, Rotary's reach extends around the world, with local members often carrying the message of service above self beyond Cupertino borders.
You get down to Guatemala, those people live in cardboard shacks. They do not have much stuff. They have a lot of kids. Those kids are often sick. They often have bad eyes. And surprisingly small efforts can have big differences in the lives of a community down there. We've been probably the key service organization in the effort to eradicate polio. And polio is almost beaten. That's one of those things that hopefully in the next 3 or 4 years we'll be able to say there were no cases of polio in the world. And when that happens, the disease will be dead. And that's a pretty remarkable thing.
If you notice some of the faces you saw in that film, you will understand that the Rotary Club of Cupertino really reaches across all the different professions and all the different parts of our community. Represented on there are 3 of your city council members, your city manager, your undersheriff for the county, president of the college, about every profession you can imagine. And these are people that work very, very hard and put many hours in to bring all kinds of activities to the community and to give services. This year, the Rotary Club Golf Tournament, which was last weekend, will be giving about $50,000 to the new senior center, in addition to which they've raised additional monies for their general fund to go to other services. We partner with Quota Club, as a matter of fact, with the Children's Shopping Expedition, and so it is also partnerships with other agencies. There are numerous speech contests for teens. There are interact clubs within our high schools. We have also a holiday luncheon for our seniors, and the list just goes on and on and on. It is a service organization which really does benefit and enrich our community. And David, I congratulate you. Please take our best wishes and congratulations to your whole club. And I think if the Rotary Club of Cupertino is a good example of how the community brings together different professions and different parts of our community, our next honoree, Chuck Thompson, also does that because he represents many different interests, including technology and education and service above others. Please welcome Chuck Thompson, and let's learn a little bit more about him.
I'm very relaxed. Most people will tell you I'm a very different person from when I was working because I was so wired to work. And now it's just a relaxed, I can do what I want and get a lot of enjoyment out of life.
A self-described ex-workaholic, Chuck Thompson will tell you that a good deal of that pleasure he gets from life comes from a job he's been doing since 1992, a job with the title of community volunteer. When the computer company he worked for closed 8 years ago, Chuck looked around for a way to become involved, and he spotted CityNet, the electronic bulletin board founded by former Cupertino Mayor Wally Dean.
I didn't really feel I knew much about the community, so I wanted to meet some people and do some things and help out. CityNet was trying to bring together the local community, which again fit with my focus as well as being with computers.
While volunteering with the CityNet project, Chuck would often pay a personal visit to clients who were just learning about computers and having difficulties installing programs.
That seemed to surprise a lot of people, the fact that somebody would choose to do this. And I guess it suddenly dawned on me how much we don't help each other. I mean, we do help each other, we're polite, we're a civilized society for sure, but we just don't make that extra effort to sort of step out of your way.
With that thought in mind, it wasn't long before Chuck began volunteering for the Fremont Union High School District Foundation Board. For the past 4 years, he has served as treasurer of the board, but the role he plays reaches far beyond that position. He was one of the key campaigners for the district's successful Measure H bond initiative that raised $144 million for renovations in the 5 high schools.
That, in terms of the activities I've been involved with, and the one that will probably have the biggest impact on the community is that, like a lot of people in the community, I've only seen the schools from the outside, and they look great. It's interesting to get a tour of the insides and the boiler rooms and see some of the plant problems that they've got, to realize that the schools are good, they're being well maintained, but they have a lot of need.
As a member of the nonprofit foundation board, Chuck has found a way to combine his twin passions, computers and education. He's an enthusiastic supporter of a new program in the high school district called the Laptop Program, which provides laptop computers to students.
Another name for it is Anytime, Anywhere Learning. They can have their computer as a tool. We're not trying to teach them computers. It's trying to use it as a productive tool in education and in life. Since I do believe in education and I do believe in computers, I think this is a very important aspect. And so one of the goals of the foundation is to make sure that no student is left out of it. So we want to provide scholarships. And so this is our pilot year for developing a scholarship program to help fund laptops for those families that can't easily afford them.
When he's not maintaining the foundation's website, or working on district grants programs, or sitting on the Technology Advisory Committee, you can find Chuck serving meals to the homeless at our Daily Bread in Sunnyvale.
The homeless, the hungry will always be with us, and this is a way to have an impact on their lives. What I like about it is the fact that there are no questions asked, anybody who shows up. So we don't make judgment calls, we don't intrude on them, they have to do nothing except show up. We serve them the food rather than having them stand in line. Trying to give them some respect and show them respect and make their lives a little happier each day that we can.
Any businessman looks for a return on his investment, and Chuck says his return is far greater than the time and effort he puts into his volunteer activities.
I mean, it's so internal, you can't really describe it, but there's a lot of psychological benefit. You get a lot of good feelings about yourself and about humanity from doing it. And there are a lot of people out there, and I think what they just need is, like me, the opportunity with time to be exposed to it and get it done.
I think the Rotary motto is service above self, and Chuck Thompson is certainly a good example. We're going to have to get you involved there. Chuck epitomizes the common thread you see woven here this evening amongst the people and the organizations we're talking about, and that is that when you give, when you really give, you get back more than you give, and you make friends, and you build community, and you learn about others, and your life becomes more enriched. There's really no reason for anyone to be lonely in this city because there is a lot to do and a lot to give. Wally Dean could not be here tonight, but he sends his best wishes, and he told me stories about how when you first started out, and there are those of us who did not know a thing about even how to take the computer out of the box and hook it up, that Chuck would go to your house and do that for you and tell you how to turn it on and what a mouse was for and what controls were for and help walk you through it and helped a lot of people get over that technology phobia. And in addition to that, Nancy Harper has been raving about you tonight. Nancy is the executive officer of the High School Foundation, and I have heard wonderful things about your financial talents and the way you have helped with that organization, which is doing really, really good work. And congratulations on the ropes course, which opened yesterday, or you had your grand opening yesterday, and I know Chuck has been very, very involved in that. The Measure A campaign, which was critically important to modernizing our high schools, will also coordinate with the city, because as Jean just won her award, we're going to be building a new library, and we certainly are not going to do it in isolation. So we will be networking with all the new libraries that the high school district does. So all of this comes together in a very nice way to acknowledge the contributions of Mr. Chuck Thompson, the rest of the community. Do you want to introduce your wife, since everyone else got to do that?
Marge is sitting right there.
Marge, thank you for all your help also. And so in addition to education and technology, bringing in service to the community and those that maybe aren't in a position to help themselves as well as others just rounds out the picture of a very wonderful community volunteer. Thank you for all you do, and congratulations. And now I would like to introduce our esteemed mayor, who is going to show us some more clip.
I have one more clip to show you tonight. I hope.
Now here once again are the 2000 CREST Award recipients. Chuck Thompson.
Always try to reach out and help. I mean, and do it in just trivial ways. Can make so much difference to somebody. They can make an impression on them to help them volunteer or choose to volunteer. And that's really all I'm trying to do, is encourage other people to just help their friends and neighbors and people they don't know.
The Rotary Club of Cupertino.
That's one of the nice things about the Rotary Club is you get a bunch of motivated people. It's easy to be president of an organization where the people want to be there and they want to do stuff. It's not like people are obligated to do service projects. They think it's fun.
Jim Oberhofer.
I enjoy working with people. I enjoy, at work, during my day job, I'm a manager, and I enjoy helping folks understand what needs to get done and helping them contribute to the job at hand. And I think that's something that translates very nicely into the volunteer roles.
Jean Gallup.
I've always been an information person. Gee, I like the library, what do you think? So I look at information, I analyze it, I come out with a product, whether it's a timeline or a to-do list or something. And that's easy for me. I can be a volunteer in anything I want, but the library is just really close to my heart, so that's where I am.
Debbie Dougherty.
Everyone has a small amount of time, whether it could be daily or weekly or monthly, to do something, and I just feel that it's real important. And after meeting everyone and pretty much growing up with them in Cupertino, I just like the people, and it's very fun it helps motivate you to stay involved.
I'm here
Fernando Chen.
Your approval. Volunteer actually spend a lot of time and a lot of energy to do something worthwhile. You don't need to get result, just do it. I mean, just like Nike's brand name, just do it.
And Chaoming and Wanyu Chang.
You get the satisfaction that to see people smiling face. But on the other hand, you do not expect everyone going to be gracious. Yeah. Essentially that is, don't expect too much return, but satisfy yourself that is you are doing good. Yeah.
Thank you for your outstanding volunteer efforts.
You know, it's not often that we get a chance to bring together such a distinguished collection of people that have really helped make this town what it is tonight, and to celebrate the things that they've done, and the things that they've given us. And I think this is an excellent opportunity for us to do that. There's one person here tonight, though, who you first saw kick off the evening's event that has been with us for over 10 years now, or coming up on 10 years as city manager, and that's Donald Brown. And Don, are you here still? Please come on up if you are. This is one of those impromptu kind of mayor kind of things. So, Don, I just wanted to say that on behalf of all of us here tonight, if we're recognizing people that have taken extra steps for this community and that have really been over and above for every year that you've been here. I remember first starting to work with you on the Blackberry Farm, Save Blackberry Farm campaign over 10 years ago, or just about 10 years ago. And I've watched you be involved in this town deeply and caring about this town deeply ever since. And so on behalf of myself and our city council and all of us here tonight, I suspect as well, we just would like to say thank you very much for the extra steps you've taken.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And now if I could have each of the award winners please also step forward for one bow. I think they deserve it. Please come on up to the front and join us.